My name's Will. I'm a senior at Walker Valley High School, and this is my story. As I've gone through my Christian journey, I've often been related to Jonah. And in Jonah 1, verses 1 through 3, it says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and preach against it, because their evil has come up before me." Jonah got up to flee to Tarshish. Where God wanted him to go and do one thing, Jonah chose to do another. About 5 years ago, my family started going to a little church in Ooltewah. Around this time, I started also singing in a group with my dad and traveling around a little bit and just having fun. My dad was also a major part of my life. Then about 2 years ago, my dad got arrested. This tore me down. I started going through depression and addictions, and honestly, I chose to run away from God. I was living my way, not God's way, kind of like Jonah. God had placed me in a position to serve him, but when things got tough, I ran. Let's turn back to Jonah and read verses 3 through 4. Jonah got up to flee to Tarshish from the Lord's presence. He went down to, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this right. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know. I'm not good at this. But the way I read it is Joppa. But I am 100% that's wrong. And found a ship going to Tarshish. He paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the Lord's presence. But the Lord threw a great wind onto the sea, and such a great storm arose on the sea that the ship threatened to break apart. And then you have verses 5 through 14, which I'm not going to read that. That's a long time. And like I said, I'm not good at reading scripture. But in this, it really says how Jonah's telling all the people on the boat with him, hey, if you throw me off, everything's going to be fine. The storm's going to stop. Y'all are going to be okay. Just get me off of here. And in verse 15, they do that exact thing. It says, Then they picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea stopped its raging. Then verse 17 goes on to say, the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. Jonah was in a whale, which you can really look at as a dark place. That's where I was, a dark place. I became homeless all my junior year of high school, living in a youth house from my old church. I also lived in a hotel for a little bit of time, which honestly the hotel wasn't that bad because you get free breakfast with it. So what I did not realize at the time, though, was that God was providing even though I had ran. He had never left me alone. Then, summer after junior year, some of my friends convinced me to go to Camp Cherokee. It was there God brought me back to him. I then told myself I would strive to get close to him any way I could. And isn't it funny that in the story of Jonah, he does that same thing? In the dark place, Jonah realized that he needed God. He calls out to God, and God answers. In verse 10, after Jonah prays to God, the fish spits him out, and Jonah is able to be faithful to God again. You see, when I realized in my life that I needed God, I quit the things I was addicted to and were holding me back. I started being a leader on the football team and gave God the glory, not looking at myself anymore. And now, as I start my new journey with college football, I can proudly say that I'm closer to God than I've ever been. And like Jonah, I've come out of the dark place ready for God's work in my life. And from what I know, the same can be said about my dad. He went to prison for doing the wrong things the wrong way. But in prison, he has truly been able to meet God and begin to share the grace that God offers. In the belly of the whale, his life has been changed. He's been sharing the truth of God through Bible studies and leading people to Jesus. My life verse is Proverbs 24:16, which reads, though the righteous falls 7 times, he gets back up, but the wicked will collapse when calamity strikes. Which to me in my life, that means as long as you put your faith in God, just be like, hey, you take this. I'm going to give this to you no matter what adversity you face, no matter what addictions you face, no matter what depression you face, he will always be there to help you get back up. But then there's that flip side to it. where if you just try to do it your way, which I am guilty of, I just told you I'm guilty of it. If you try to do it your way, you're going to fall every time and never be able to recover. And you're going to stay down there and be defeated. I'm so thankful I have a God that has given me a chance to get up and lead others to salvation the same way Jonah got up and led the Ninevites to God.